And just like that, we are back again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Money Sports. I am one half of the mega powers of podcasting and one third of the fabulous freebirds of podcasting. I am O Money and I am here live tonight, September 2nd, 2025. And it's the eve of NFL football, what we've been clamoring for since the draft ended back in April, what we've been watching through mini camps and OTOs and the training camps and the exhibition games and hell, our fantasy football teams, which we're going to discuss some fantasy football later. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is here, it is upon us, and like that squirrel says in that meme, we're back. We are back in 24 hours, and I hope that we all are excited for it. What I can tell you this much is, as you look to your right, you look to your left, they are missing. They are out of action. One, it's excusable. You know what I mean? The other, who cares? We're just going to dominate his fantasy team either way. Either way, be on the lookout this weekend. Mike and Iylon, I'm pointing over here like they're here or something, like it's an imaginary person. The only freaky thing right now would be if they just appeared right now and I'm out. You ever see a fat guy run fast? You're going to see me run if they just. There's no CGI graphics for that one. However, the guys will be on live this weekend to give their Super Bowl playoff predictions as we kick off 2025. This is our annual thing that we do every year. We started in August. We started with the West. As we were progressed, we went to the North. Then we went to the South. Last week, we took care of the East. Little controversy in some episodes. Not as hot and heavy as the AFC North edition, I would say. I wouldn't know why, It's not like anybody on this podcast would fight tooth and nail for his team. I don't drink soda like I used to, so it's like, However, it's the only cold thing I got down here in the basement besides beer, and it's not beer o'clock right now. So I just want to get everybody in here, get this going, and then, we're going to recount some news this past week, look at how everybody's fantasy football teams did, and because, this was the past weekend was the final draft weekend. Hopefully everybody had a good time with all their friends, family. Hopefully nobody did anything boneheaded and picked Brian Robinson Jr. number one instead of Bijan. I mean, me as a league owner, I wouldn't play him out like that. I'd make him sweat it out for 2 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, peel it off. As I've said countless times on this podcast since that clip went viral. So let's get this out of the way. Going to make sure we tell the masses that I am live. I am Joey Styles in this thing, like he used to do ECW in the mid-90s. You know what I mean? He was excellent. You just won't hear me screaming, oh my God, every 5 minutes. Tonight, anybody wants to hop on the screen, shoot me a message through a text, shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger. I'll get you the link. We'll put you on the video conference line, and you can spew out what you think is going to happen in the playoffs this year and who's going to eventually win that Lombardi crown come February. All right. So let's tag a couple other people. I know I should have done this earlier, but it is what it is. Y'all going to bear with me because that's just how I roll. You know what I mean? We're in this together, fam. That's the thing about On the Money podcast. We're all together on this. Damn, every time I try to tag Matt, we have issues, and issues. Sons of bitches. Chris, I'm tagging you even though right now Nola's killing me because he's given up 5 runs already and it's killing my ERA. Not happy about that at all. At all. Let's get everybody in here. Get as many as I can tag so we can start these festivities. Looking forward to a great podcast. Yo, every time I try to tag Matt, it does not want me to tag Matt. It's probably because of how terrible his team is. What's up, Chris? How you doing today? Me and you got a big matchup, 1 o'clock this Sunday. Quarterbacks for opposing or facing each other that played for those teams last year. The 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers going up against the New York Jets, who made him fly all the way out to New York for 5 minutes just to tell them that they're moving on from him, which they could have just done over the phone. But they chose not to. And then you got Justin Fields going up against the Steelers, who feel slighted that they put Russell Wilson in, but I'm pretty sure he was told before the year Russell Wilson's going to get a chance to play. However, I would have benched Russell Wilson after that Ravens game, and I would have installed on the Christmas Day game. I would have installed Justin Fields to play, but not my call to make. Yeah, Vera Tucker got hurt. Looks like he's got a torn triceps, and Schefter is saying he is out for the year. He is looking for a second opinion because it depends on the grade level. As we all know, TJ Watt a couple of years ago on opening day tore his triceps on a sack attempt that was nullified because of a penalty. And I forget what grade it was, but he was feared to be lost for the year. However, he ended up just missing 7 weeks, I think, and was back by the second week in November. So depending on the severity of it, if it's not completely torn, there's a chance to with some solid rehab, Tucker could be back for the Jets. But it's going to be tough because it's a position that, boom, boom, boom. I have seen and heard of players who have played with a torn triceps. I believe it was Kendall Simmons for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2000, who for the last month and a half played with one and played very well. So there's been instances of that. So we're hoping that that it's not that bad, that he's able to come back, and be there. And, it's a shame because you don't want injuries to start taking place. It's way too early in the NFL season to be having that. But we all know how this sport is. This sport is brutal. This sport, is demanding. And every year, 3 to 5 top names get hurt for multiple weeks. Some lost for the year. A couple of years ago, we lost Burrow for almost a season. We lost Jackson for 2 years in a row for half seasons. Barkley a couple of years ago, when the year after the Giants made the playoffs. It sucks. Nobody wants that, especially you're playing fantasy football. You don't want that crap either, because you pick those players high. Depending on a lot of drafts. Barkley was going high this year. So me as a fan, I don't wish it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a disadvantage for the Jets this weekend, and the Steelers are going to exploit it the best that they can. But it sucks that it happened because God doesn't even get to do what he does on a daily basis. What he looks forward to, what he loves, his passion, and he could be out for the whole year. I think ESPN is going to ruin Red Zone. Oh, we're starting with Red Zone information today. As we all know, ESPN acquired NFL Network materials, including the Red Zone. Scott Hansen is back, but Scott Hansen was on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, and he discussed the fact that there will be commercials on Red Zone now. Commercial-free Red Zone is dead, people. We've had it for almost, 15 years now, and they have finally booted it from us. I mean, I'm not a Red Zone guy. I buy the Sunday ticket package, and I watch full-length games. I'll put the Red Zone when I have it like free previews for the weekend. Like I'll put it on one of the televisions for the guys so everybody can keep track of their fantasy scores. But I'll be honest, when the Steelers game comes on, I don't give a rat's ass about fantasy. For those 3 hours, I'm glued on the black and yellow and making sure they don't do anything to piss me off, which they have done consistently for the last 20 years. Ugh. So for those of you who enjoy the Red Zone, and for years Comcast had Red Zone because they couldn't get Sunday Ticket because DirecTV monopolized it. I know that was their thing, and I know they put that on and they'd watch it all day. And now you're getting commercials, so now you're going to see like 20 commercials for WrestlePalooza. You're going to get 20 of those ESPN commercial. Like it's just. Get ready to see a lot of Disney Plus commercials, a lot of Marvel Zombie commercials for this week and next week. It sucks because, it is what it is. It's going to suck when they're mid-highlight and it cuts out and goes to a commercial. Like you'll see like JJ drop back, throw an 80-yard bomb to Jeddah, and then it just cuts before Jeddah catches it or anything happens, and it's, hi. Do you have type 1 diabetes? Ozempic can do that's gonna suck when that happens. So I completely get everybody who's up in arms for that, but I knew that was happening the moment ESPN got it. Like that was which is crazy because it was a premium thing. You pay extra for it, so it's understandable why there wouldn't be commercials because you're paying for the service. But now they're going to add sponsors because they got to find a way to get their money back because they gave up 10% of their company to the NFL to get all of these NFL media rights things. Having Rich Eisen be able to come back and do some sports centers, having, the guys from Game Day Live and Game Day After cross-reference on their shows, like the Ian Rappaports of the world, that's the cost of doing business. But lots to discuss about tomorrow night. It's Philly, Dallas. Dallas, we were talking about the same division last week on this podcast, and we talked about it with Micah Parsons still on the team. Then he was unceremoniously traded the next day. I think it was a Thursday, right? Yeah, it wasn't podcast night because we would have buried the Cowboys even harder. Because I after last week's episodes, I took a win away from Dallas. I had Dallas at 8-9. I got Dallas at 7-10 now. The Packers giving up just 2 firsts and Gary for Micah Parsons. Parsons is dealing with an L4, L5 sprain in his back, which is amazing that this deal still got pulled off. But I guess the Packers knew what they were getting into, so they signed off on it. They agreed to the physical and everything else that comes with it. Dallas gets Gary, who's not what he was, but he can still be a solid contributor. He's not a superstar like Micah Parsons was, but he's a solid contributor. You get 2 first-round picks. Those 2 firsts are probably going to be like in the 20s because Green Bay I already had at 10-7, and spoiler alert, I kept them at 10-7 because I still don't think they're better than the Lions. I don't understand why everybody's losing their brains over just a Parsons addition. I still don't trust Jordan Love. I still don't trust those receivers. Right now, to me, Tucker Kraft is wide receiver 1 because they got a bunch of wide receiver 3s on their team. And they're counting on a rookie to be wide receiver 1 who was listed on the depth chart as wide receiver 1. So that's going to be interesting in itself. But for Dallas, this weakens their defense, whether anybody wants to admit it. They do lose a pass rusher. There are times where he freelanced, and when he would freelance, the team would get burned on their run assignments and give up chunks of running yardage. So we'll see if Gary cleans that up, stays in his lanes, stops the run, which destroyed Dallas last year. It's like everybody's averaging over 100 yards against Dallas. We're going to see what it is, what they got, what's going to happen, because we already knew this defense wasn't going to be that good. This does weaken that defense a little bit, but we also knew this offense was going to be trying to stay in shootouts. You got Javonte Williams, you got Miles Sanders, you got the rookie Jaden Blue. Like, we don't know who's gonna take this and run with it. Mikey with Dallas money line, he's been saying it all week. If Dallas wins, Mikey is gonna look like a genius, and all of us will look like crazy people. But yeah, this team's gonna be they're gonna be playing catch up in a lot of their games. Yes, I am flying solo tonight. E's uncle is in town, so he's spending some time with him, which here on All the Money Sports, family first. Mikey couldn't make it because, Mikey just travels to Jabit and for work and gets back very late. And we don't, I know what it's like to wake up early, and I wouldn't want him here getting back late previous night and then getting back at a later time, rushing over here. You just get no sleep, and it's just not cool to be at work in those first couple hours from 7 to 10, just cussing out a storm because you're tired. So, like I was saying with Dallas, it's going to be a lot of garbage time. So if you have the CeeDee Lambs, the George Pickens, the Dak Prescott, the Jake Fergusons, they're going to be fantasy relevant. You're going to get your points because they're going to be throwing that ball a lot because they're going to be behind a lot. So if they told you don't draft Dak until round 13 because they got 10 other people, that's going to come back to bite a lot of people because Dak's probably going to put up a lot of good garbage time numbers. And that's what it's about in fantasy. Nobody cares what happens in real life. We care about fantasy when it comes to aspects of that nature. And then tomorrow night, with Dallas's defense being a little weaker, a lot weaker, you got Philly riding high. Put belt to asses to the Chiefs back in February. They got that sour taste out of their mouth from a couple years ago when the Chiefs beat them with that field goal to end it. Because they beat that ass. They got their comeuppance and kept going. So it's going to be interesting to see how they defend this title because now you're no longer the hunter. You are now the hunted. Every single week you play football, you are going to get the best every time from that opponent across from you. Because they want to be able to say after the game, we beat the defending champs. The Eagles are coming back with a relatively same offense. Their defense, Darius Slay's gone. Charlie Garner-Johnson's gone. Josh Sweat is gone. There's a lot of players, some key pieces that are no longer there. We're going to see how they handle it. Vic Fangio is a wonderful defensive-minded coach. His idea of coaching is to keep his linemen fresh, as you saw in the Super Bowl. But in order to do that, every player has to do it. So now they're going to lean on these younger guys that are in their second years, the Kylie Ringos, the DeJohn Coopers. They're going to be relying on them to take a bigger step to man that secondary. And I think there's going to be some growing pains within the first month, but I do think they get it figured out. I don't see them losing tomorrow with the banner going up. I think that's one of the reasons why, all the adrenaline, all the pomp and circumstance. They're going to be riding high. I don't see them losing. Like I said the other day, everybody talks about Philly cheesesteaks. That spot out in Glassboro, steak out, not stakeouts, steak out. That's in a little mini plaza. One of the best cheesesteaks I ever had in my life. So the adrenaline's going to be there. I think Philly's going to win. I do think Dallas is going to make it interesting. I could see this game being like a 34-28 because, it's the first month of the season. You're going to get a lot of sloppy football. The teams with the strong defenses are going to come out a little flat because a lot of them didn't play preseason. So some big chunk plays are going to happen. Some missed tackles are going to happen. Some out-of-character penalties are going to happen. But in the end, I do think Philly wins. Like I said, 34-28 is my score. We'll see how that goes. And, you're going to get your glimpses. It's going to be interesting to see how these Eagles young second-year guys are going to cover George Pickens, cover CeeDee Lamb, cover Ferguson. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. With Dallas, they didn't want to pay Parsons, but they paid Teron Bland $94 million. I don't know about that one, but hey, that's Jerry's money. We're going to see if those guys can keep up with AJ, Devontae, and I think this year you're going to see Dotson have a bigger role in this offense. We got to remember he was a former first-round talent who had a pretty decent rookie year. And just fell off the last couple of years. So tomorrow night's game, sick picks. We got Dallas 38-35. Last minute field goal, Mike? Is that what we're saying, Mike? Last minute field goal? We'll see if he's going to put that up. I just want to know. Is this going to be a last minute field goal? Is this one of those where the Eagles score a touchdown near the end, try to do the fluke-de-duke onside kick, and it doesn't work? And then Friday night on YouTube in Brazil. Damn it, what is up with my hair? Jesus, look at that. I mean, these locks are amazing, but we can't have it out of sorts. The Chargers, Chiefs, Chargers at home. Nobody ever cares about Chargers. They don't have a fan base. They're the underdog even when they're home. But that's going to be an interesting game because, again, Pat Mahomes did play some preseason football, so, he's got his feet wet with that. Najee Harris is going to play. We're going to see, I wonder if he's wearing a visor because I would love to see what the eye looks like. Shooting fireworks like a maniac. I think he didn't practice at all. He just started to because he's been on the pup with the whole, with the Sagat look. I wonder if he's going to wear an eye patch. I think he's going to be like a goal line back. I think Hampton's going to do all the dirty work. I think you're going to see Hampton from the 20 to 20. He's going to be getting backfield passes, screen passes. I think he's going to, he's a very talented runner. When he's got the ball in his hands, he's very good in space. Herbert, I don't know if we're ever going to see 2020 Herbert again. Rookie Herbert, because rookie Herbert was amazing. Since then, we've gotten average quarterback Herbert, and average quarterback Herbert got paid a lot of money a couple of years ago. And it's time to see sign. Is Quentin Johnson third year, like you're finally going to be the guy that you were drafted to be? Or is Trey Harris going to play? Because I know he's questionable. Is he going to play and ball out like you should have done, Quentin? And we all know what Ladd's going to do. And is Keenan Allen going to come back, stroll right in, as old as he is, got a little, got his gut hanging and just grab 7 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown? And all of us look at each other like, Who had him for an anytime touchdown? Who had him on their fantasy team today? And then the Chiefs, on the other hand, they're not going to have Rashee Rice. So it's Xavier Worthy, it's Hollywood Brown, it's Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Royals, 36-year-old Travis Kelce, who lost 30-some pounds. And honestly, I just don't think he's ever going to be that guy again. I think he's a 600 to 700 yard receiver now. And I think everybody's got to take it out of them. Like, he's not who we remember 3 years ago. Like, what you saw last year is what you're going to get this year, and you're probably not going to get that. It's going to dwindle down. So someone's got to step up for the Chiefs. If I'm, a fantasy guy, I'm scared to start Mahomes regardless, because who's he throwing the ball to? And you know what? Friday he probably go off and 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but who's getting those touchdowns and who's brave enough to start someone? I know there's people out there going to start Xavier Worthy no matter what. And they're going to start Travis Kelce no matter what. However, are they going to win you your week? Are you that confident in them that they're going to win your week for you? That they're going to push you into the weekend with a 35-point lead, a 40-point lead, and you just look at your opponent when you see them or text them and just give them the smile like, see you bounce back from that one. I know I don't. I'm leaning towards Chargers too, Mike. I really am. I'm leaning towards Chargers too. And if you get that, then it's, oh no, they started 0-1, got beat, but their butts beat in the Super Bowl. Is it the Super Bowl hangover? Oh no. We don't know. That's what's so interesting. The game's got to be played tomorrow night at the Link, Dallas, Philly. Friday in Brazil. Maybe Blanco make an appearance. And then you got this weekend's games. Let me grab my phone real quick. Do a quick rundown of these games. Yo, ain't no way this kid did that. Children. They take Nola out yet? Nope, they're letting him in. They're going to let him get his ass beat tonight, guys. All right. You know what? I'm going to hold off on the schedule because I got my on the money picks I got to give you guys later. We all know it's week 1, baby. We giving all the money picks. We're starting already. Already. That's how we do this, man. That is how we do this. Just want to write down a footnote real quick. All right, so time to do this. We're about to let everyone know. Time for predictions. All right. So, quick recap. I'm going to go over the AFC first, AFC side of things. I'm going to give you all our playoff teams and all that, but here are the standings from how we did it week to week. Here are my standings. AFC East is the Bills 13-4, the Patriots 8-9, the Dolphins 7-10, Jets 5-12. The North, the Ravens 12-5, the Steelers 11-6, Bengals 10-7, Browns 4-13. AFC South, Colts 10-7, Texans 9-8, Titans 6-11, Jags 5-12. The AFC West, Chiefs 12-5, Broncos 10-7, Chargers 9-8, Raiders 6-11. The NFC side of things: Eagles 13-4, Commanders 11-6, Cowboys and Giants both 7-10. The NFC North: Lions 12-6. Wait, no, 12-5. I'm sorry. Can't even understand my own handwriting sometimes. Packers 10-7, Vikings 8-9. I flipped them over from 9-8 to 8-9. Bears 7-10. The South: the Bucks 11-6, Falcons 9-8, Panthers 8-9, Saints 3-14. We all know how I feel. The Saints are the worst team in the league. The West: Rams 11-6, the 49ers 11-6, the Cards 8-9, and the Seahawks 5-12. All right, so I'm going to type in the 1 seed through 7 seed for the AFC first so everybody can see that. And now I'm going to do the NFC for you guys. So there's my AFC and NFC teams. All right. So the first round of the playoffs is the number 2 seed Chiefs versus the 7 seed Bengals. The number 3 seed Ravens versus the 6 seed Broncos. The number 4 seed Colts versus the 5 seed Steelers. I got the Chiefs beating the Bengals, the Broncos upsetting the Ravens, and the Steelers beating the Colts on Super Wildcard Weekend for the AFC side of things. On the NFC side of things, I got the 2 seed Lions playing the Packers, the 3 seed Bucks playing the 6 seed Commanders, the 4 seed Rams playing the 5th seed 49ers. I've got the Lions beating the Packers, the Bucks beating the Commanders, avenging their playoff loss from last year. And I got the Rams beating the Niners. So, in the NFC, the Lions, Bucks, Rams move on. The AFC side of thing, the Chiefs, Broncos, and the Steelers get that elusive playoff win thanks to a mid-Colts team that, even though I think are going to be good, they're still a mid team that Pittsburgh is more than capable of beating. So, the following week, I got The Eagles, the 1 seed Eagles, playing the 4 seed Rams, the 2 seed Lions playing the 3 seed Bucks. I got the Eagles beating the Rams, and I got the Lions beating the Bucks, setting up the NFC Championship game of Eagles versus Lions. So I'm gonna do in the comments what I think so far for Super Wild Card. Sorry about that. And then on the NFC side of things, it's so boom, I got that. So now I'm gonna do the divisional rounds. So it's the Bills versus the Broncos. I got the Bills over the Broncos. Then I got the Pittsburgh Steelers doing what nobody thinks is possible. And come at me, baby. I'm ready for it all. I got the thick skin and I can handle it. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to upset the Kansas City Chiefs in the second round as Aaron Rodgers' Cinderella season continues. Then in the NFC side of things, I got the Eagles over the Rams. And I have the Lions over Bucks. That gets us to the AFC Championship game and NFC Championship game. On the AFC side of things, what up, Matt? This is where it ends, though, the Cinderella story. The Bills will defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game and finally reaching that elusive Super Bowl that they have been chasing since the 2020 season. And then on the NFC side of things, there will be no back-to-back. I have booked the Philadelphia Eagles very strong, so don't at me. I have booked you guys to win the Super Bowl halfway through the season last year. I said it was going to happen. But this year, there will be no repeat, as the Detroit Lions will defeat Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. That leaves the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. High-profile offense versus high-profile offense. High-profile defense versus another very good defense. A weirdo at coach on one side and a master motivator coach. Wow, that did not sound good. A master motivator coach. Pause. And I think when it's all said and done, no matter what, there will be a first time ever crowned Super Bowl champion. And that's going to be the Detroit Lions. The Lions will defeat the Buffalo Bills to win their first ever Super Bowl. I just booked it for you, ladies and gentlemen. So go get Go get your DraftKings opened up. Go look at those odds. Even if you don't think it's going to happen, go ahead and book it. Put $5 down. Who knows what can win? Matter of fact, I'll do it right now. Let's see what $5 will win, you guys. Because as you know now, those are my picks. The Bills are going to represent the AFC, even though I've said they're never going to do it. But you know why they're going to get there? Because someone else is going to knock over the Chiefs, and they don't got to worry about facing the big bad bully. Now they can avoid the big bad bully. They'll beat up a team that was on a Cinderella rise, a 41-year-old quarterback giving it his last, which isn't enough. And the Bill, he can ride off in the sunset because you know what? He had a year that nobody thought he could do. He took a team and got them not one but 2 playoff wins, took them to an AFC championship. Even though they lost, he can call that a successful season, and he can walk away and be happy with how his career turned out. And then on the other side, Josh Allen finally gets to the Super Bowl. Yes, there's going to be comments and questions and remarks about, hey, he got there finally, but he didn't beat the Chiefs to get there. At that point, it doesn't matter. You're there. You made it to the Super Bowl, Josh. That's how I think that goes. And then on the other side of things, the Eagles season has been remarkable since 2024. They're going to have another great season in 2025. But it's very hard to get back. Sometimes what the Bills did in the 90s, even though they lost all 4, that's a hell of a run. The Chiefs have, had their run. I just think the Lions overall, the better weapons on the offensive side of the ball, if their defensive players don't get hurt, especially Aiden Hutchinson, watch out. The Lions should rule the North. They're going to rule the NFC, and they're going to win their first ever Super Bowl. Book that shit now. We're going to do a little class right now. I'm opening up my phone. I'm going to DraftKings. And we're going to log in. Hopefully I can get in because sometimes the service in my basement sucks. What the hell? Oh, Mikey giving his on the money picks. Shit. That is not my password anymore. Ooh. Let's see. Well, looks like I forgot my password from the other day. But however, I do want to do this with you guys because I want you guys to see. I want to go over the odds. If anybody can let's see what the odds would be if you can make that, if that's even an option to pick, Let's see. I hate to do this to you guys while we're live, but you know what? We're in this together. Get over it. We're almost there, folks. Here we go. I'm almost in. That way we can continue this podcast. I'm sorry for being a nuisance to you guys right now. This shit's acting whack. All right, that shit's not working, so I'm not going to bother. On the money picks, we'll begin this year as well. Mike is starting off. Let me write down his on the other side. I'll probably go upstairs after this podcast, figure out, and then I'll probably come back on here and just comment what I think the odds are. I'm going to comment what the odds are on this video so that everybody can see it. So, Mike, he's got Cowboys, Chargers, Giants, Lions, Rams. I think Iylon sent me his, so I'll read off what Iylon's got. Jersey Triad. Oh, shit, Mike, I didn't even realize you sent me a freaking... Did not realize you sent me that shit. I'll make sure you get that football. I'll send that football pool in immediately after this podcast. Because I got to send mine in, too. Jeez. Iylon's on the money picks are as follow. He is picking the Eagles. He is picking the Chiefs. He is picking the Commanders. He's picking the 49ers. And he's picking the Rams. So Mike and Iylon have about three to four on the money picks the same. I, however, have the Bucks, the Colts. I'm also picking the Giants, the Broncos, and the Lions. So that's the Bucks, Colts, Giants, Broncos, Lions. Those are my on the money picks. It's going to be an interesting weekend, ladies and gentlemen. The lounge is going to be off the hook. It's week one. It's going to be pandemonium in here. Steelers on a big screen. 3 other mediocre teams playing, or 6 mediocre teams on other TVs, and nobody cares about. Plus 1,400 for the Lions to win the Super Bowl. I like it. I think I'm going to bet that. Mikey, I'm sending your picks right now for the pool. All right, boom. The bookie got him. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I've given you my playoffs, my predictions. I know I can be a homer sometimes, but I don't know. I'm starting to believe in this hallucinogenic tea. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl, but I think they're capable of a deep playoff run, the Steelers. I just don't think they're going to win. I don't think they get out of the championship game. I think championship game's a ceiling for them. I think Aaron Rodgers is good enough to win a playoff game, maybe 2. In the NFC, I just think it's the Lions' time, man. It is the Lions' time. And it's going to be interesting. And then, hey, they could finally, they finally did it themselves, the Rams got their Super Bowl the year after. These guys are going to get their Super Bowl finally a couple years later. And guess what? That Stafford-Goff trade looks amazing for both teams. And it's the Lions already helped. I think that trade was won by both teams. But if they get a Super Bowl out of it, it's just one of those like, damn, they both got titles. They both got great players. It's like a wash almost. All right, got that. There ain't much else to talk about tonight. I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I thank you for For those that were able to comment, I know it was, a little different. The one-man pod, it's always a little different. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I appreciate, everybody who's been following us since the summer started with the whole playoff prediction episodes. As you can see, I'm wearing the Tennessee Titan blue, the two-tone blue as Iylon calls it. He won by 0.5. I'm never going to let that go. I'm going to be an old man in my 70s still I'm going to be telling my grandkids, like, I lost the title game by 0.5. However, they are nice colors, and it goes real nice with some blue jeans and white sneaks. But everybody, football's back. I hope everybody has a great week. I hope everybody enjoys their football this weekend, whether it's NFL Thursday, Friday, college Saturday, and NFL Sunday, Monday. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy yourselves, and we will be back next week in full throttle. My partner will be here with me next week. We don't know. Mike is always going to try to be here no matter what. But stay tuned. We got something planned, something very good planned soon. And be on the lookout for E's predictions this weekend. Until then, I am O Money. This is On the Money Sports Podcast.